An overwhelming number of Ignace residents are in favor of a nuclear waste repository if their town is selected for one. Good evening and thank you for joining us. More details about a story we first told you about yesterday. Ignace has declared itself willing to host a nuclear waste site.
The town council passed the resolution yesterday during a special meeting in front of a packed community center. Justin Hardy was there for that decision and joins us in studio. Justin?
Thanks, Riley. The decision keeps the community in the running to be selected as the site for a deep geological repository. It comes after a months-long willingness survey, which found that over 3/4 of residents want to see the process continue.
Thank you once again, everyone.
Ignace is now the first community to declare itself willing to continue in the selection process as a potential site of the Nuclear Waste Management Organization's Deep Geological Repository. The proposed repository is one of the first of its kind in the world. The decision was made by a unanimous vote of town council during a special meeting on Wednesday. Before the vote, the Willingness Ad Hoc Committee presented the findings of a public survey. According to the report, a majority of those that participated in interviews supported the project. From the voting results, 640 of the 1,035 eligible voters took part. 77.3% voted yes and 1.9% abstained. That still leaves roughly a fifth of those participating indicating that they are not willing. Ignace Mayor Kim Bagri says that the municipality will continue to keep an open dialogue with residents.
The door will always be open at the Learn More Center here in the community. Anyone who wants to learn more can actually go there, and we will encourage anyone that wants information to go there. So they will always have the opportunity to learn.
Also, critical voices are going to be instrumental in the process moving forward, ensuring safety and accountability and transparency. There's always room for critical voices in the process.
This decision keeps Ignace in the running for the final choice for the nuclear waste repository. The other potential sites, South Bruce, along with its First Nation neighbor, Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, still need to decide if they are in fact willing to host the DGR. This gives Ignace time to improve its infrastructure and make itself more appealing for the project and for those that live there.
I think it is appealing, first and foremost. It's where I choose to live, work, and play. Do we need to invest in our community? We would, regardless of NWMO coming. Our community is worthy of investment, and we'll always look forward to those opportunities.
In order for the NWMO to choose the Ignace site, Wabigoon Lake also needs to decide whether or not it is willing. There is currently no set date on when it will make this decision. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Not everyone's supportive of Ignace's willingness to host a nuclear waste repository. Those with We the Nuclear Free North argue that more people should have had a say.
No dumping! Save the waterlands!
The organization believes the decision should be a regional, if not provincial one. They don't support burying nuclear waste anywhere and say all communities along the transportation route for the used nuclear fuel bundles should have had an equal say. We the Nuclear Free North spokesperson Wendy O'Connor says she was disappointed but not surprised by Ignace's decision. She believes the whole process was designed to create willingness rather than measure it in economically vulnerable communities. O'Connor takes particular issue with the way Ignace Council opted to consult its residents.
South Bruce, for instance, is having an actual referendum on this in October, and I believe the question that residents will be asked is a more direct question of whether they favour the presence of a nuclear waste facility near their community, whereas Ignace residents were asked an oblique question. They were asked whether they were in favour of their municipality continuing in the siting process with the NWMO. I'm not sure if all citizens realize that that is the final question. That is the question that informed council to say yes to the repository.
Although the decision is a blow to the anti-nuclear group, O'Connor says they'll continue to fight and are organizing visits to other municipalities. They also hope to meet with provincial and federal representatives to share their anti-nuclear waste perspective.
The Transportation Safety Board says it's unclear why the pilots lost control of their aircraft before a fatal Northwestern Ontario plane crash that killed 2 people in early 2023. The TSB released its findings this morning. The Cessna 208B Caravan, belonging to Thunder Bay-based Wilderness North Air, left the Nakina Airport on February 28th. with groceries and other household items bound for Admatong First Nation. But the plane crashed about a third of the way there, near Shawshire Lake, killing 2 pilots on board, who were both from the Thunder Bay area. The TSB says there's insufficient information to determine exactly why the pilots lost control. There's no indication that their performance was hindered by fatigue or medical factors, and aircraft records show no outstanding defects. The plane wasn't found until March 4th of 2023, 4 days after the crash. The TSB notes there was no emergency locator transmitter on board, as it had been removed for recertification.
Thunder Bay Police have charged a 50-year-old man relating to elder abuse. Following a 6-month police investigation, a suspect has been charged with forcible confinement, assault, and failing to provide necessities of life. Anyone who believes they've witnessed a case of elder abuse is encouraged to contact Thunder Bay Police or Crime Stoppers. Age-friendly Thunder Bay also has material online to help keep seniors safe.
The city's new encampment guidelines are coming to council for ratification next week.
Council approved the guidelines in principle after a heated debate during their last meeting. As Lee Noonan tells us, councillors will consider an amendment to the new policy on Monday. We go now to her live. Lee.
That amendment addressed how far an encampment should be from a railway or river. It was one item to come out of a lengthy debate on the hotly contested issue.
The issue of permitted encampment sites is contentious, with City Council's most recent debate going late into the night before approval with some amendments. At next week's meeting, administration will be recommending the addition of 2 new distance guidelines, not permitting tents to be set up within 5 meters of a railway or any river.
I think it's a balanced approach. Definitely hear the concerns about the proximity to a river, so we don't want folks to be right up against the bank. So a 5-meter distance, I think, is a good balance for having that safety that encampment residents flagged with the access to water and also the concerns that were flagged by council.
Policy and research analyst Riley Willinen says the change is intended to include all waterways that might not have been caught under the original limitations within the Environmental Protection Zone or around lakes and beaches. The amendment will also make it explicit that the guidelines disallowing encampments within 20 meters of private property includes businesses or other non-residential private property.
It's a recognition that everybody needs to be amenable to the recommendations, and so in upholding our commitment to a human rights-based approach, we did go and chat with folks who live in encampments about the new proposed guidelines. So we are really trying to balance the concerns of the community with the concerns of folks that are living in encampments.
If the motion is ratified on Monday, the city will work with service providers to start the process of voluntarily relocating encampment residents whose tents don't follow the new guidelines.
If someone in the community is concerned that there's a site that's not following those guidelines, they can call the city at the dispatch line 24/7. There's also a spot on our webpage, the report a problem. There's an encampments button, so they can report that in.
The city also needs to inform folks living in encampments as well as the general population in the city about the new guidelines. They're already at work on a communication plan. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Lee. Some local food vendors are pulling out of city events, believing the setup fees are just too high.
In response, city officials say the current pricing has simply returned to pre-pandemic levels. Jaden Billick has more.
When applying for a spot to set up at city events, vendors are charged multiple service fees by the city. Canada Day at Marina Park was shorter this year, running from 1 to 6 p.m., costing $600 plus HST without electricity or water, and $750 with both accommodations. Mini donut shop owner Justin Stam feels the costs are just too steep, making attendance at these events challenging.
Yeah, they're too high, and when the event was longer, it was more feasible fiscally to pay the larger fees, but now the event is shorter, so the fees are too high. They were too high before, now they're just like way too high to the point where it's not, your overhead's just too high.
Other businesses have voiced their concerns of the setup costs on Facebook. That includes Epic Cones, that leading up to this week's teddy bear picnic, announced that they would not attend. Special events developer for the city, Karen Kadoff, says these fees listed were actually the same from around 2017 to 2018.
For local businesses, COVID was very tough for them, so we did lower the fees then. So fees are just returning back to what they previously were. So it is something that we continue to take feedback from people. We always like feedback. We're always happy to work with groups as well, and just kind of come up with something that works for the community.
Additionally, asking the community to reach out and share ideas. Jaden Billick, TBT News.
To Toronto now, where questions persist about whether the Ford government's sudden closure of the Ontario Science Centre, allegedly for safety reasons, was actually necessary.
As CTV's John Woodward reports, asbestos, malfunctioning heating, and a faulty roof are the issues that Ontario maintains are behind the closure.
Holes in the ceiling, failing roof panels reinforced for now. Video of the inside of the Ontario Science Centre shows a building in dire need of repair, according to a second engineering report the provincial government produced Thursday.
There is a great need of repair. In order to fix the existing Science Centre, it would cost $500 million, which is one of the reasons why government made a decision to build a brand new Science Centre for the people of Ontario.
At the virtual press conference, officials made the case the building can't be saved.
Heating, cooling, access to buildings, and now, yes, a very real health and safety concern.
The Science Centre board closed the building June 21st, abruptly shutting out visitors, disrupting summer camps, and cancelling semesters of the grade 12 program known as Science School for the first time in 40 years.
To see this program disappear just really breaks my heart.
Difficult for Sam Miner to watch. He went to science school in the 90s before he became a professor of surgery at Dalhousie University.
To think of them just tossing it away, it's absolutely unbelievable to contemplate.
A deep love of the centre shared by many in Toronto. Proponents looking to save the building believe it could continue as a science centre for as little as $30 million until the new science centre is ready, instead of looking for a different interim location.
Let's make the repairs instead of throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
The Science Centre also famous for making exhibits in-house and sending them all over the world. The fabrication of the exhibits will continue in a new home, officials said.
By October, we're going to be moving our fabrication facility to a new location.
That will require the Science Centre to find 150,000 square feet nearby on top of the interim location.
So far, pretty relieved to hear some commitment from both our leadership and the government that that's going to continue.
Though it's not costed yet. Costs, critics say, will make the plan for a new Science Centre even more expensive and making the price of fixing the existing building look a lot more enticing.
Some sad news to report for CKPR viewers. Longtime Hagee TV bingo host Gary Cooper passed away peacefully on Saturday at the age of 79. Cooper was well known for that and many other roles that he served in the community. He was also a board member for Hagee, or the Handicapped Action Group Incorporated. He spent 38 years with the Ontario Provincial Police and was a longtime school bus safety advocate. Cooper was also a patient family advisor at the hospital, known for his dedication to educating staff and new hires. The flags at the hospital will be lowered at half-mast on July 25th in Cooper's honor.
Gary, of course, will be missed in this community, specifically in this building. He shot Hagee TV
yes,
bingo.
He did, right over
literally
there.
Just through the doors in an adjoining studio. He will be missed,
Absolutely.
to be sure. All right, let's turn our attention to the weather now, Fiona. It was another hot and humid day out there, and I understand that's set to continue as we move toward the weekend.
Yes, there is a lot of heat in the region here in the city of Thunder Bay. We had a lot of sunshine today. We had a couple periods of a few clouds here and there, but for the most part, very sunny. We topped out with a high of 26 and the humidex hit 31 this afternoon. That's with very light winds, but from the southeast, just 3 to 18 kilometers per hour. Now, if we take a look at what's going on across the region, the real heat is actually a little further north of us. At this hour, Red Lake and Pickle Lake both at 30 Celsius. They started out with lots of sun. They've had increasing clouds all afternoon, and at this time, the humidex in this part of the region is sitting at 35. Now, it gets slightly cooler, but also slightly sunnier as you head in a more southerly direction into Fort Francis, Kenora, Sioux Lookout, all the way up into Armstrong and Greenstone. Loads of sunshine. The humidex is currently ranging from about 28 to 31. And then as you head onto the north and eastern shores of Lake Superior, it's a little cooler there at 20 in Marathon, 21 in Wawa. Sault Ste. Marie currently at 23, but the humidex still feels like 29 at this hour. They had lots of sunshine for most of the day. It's just been in the last couple of hours that the clouds have started to creep in a little bit more. Now, tonight in the city, we are not going to be as quite as cool as last night's low of 9, but we are still going to be quite comfortable at 12 Celsius. Much like most of the week, though, this evening there's a slight chance of a shower, just a 30% chance, and risk of a thunderstorm over the next couple of hours. And then it is going to be partly cloudy overnight. Winds will be from the south, 15 to 20 kilometers per hour. But you might have heard about some of the announcements for the region. We have heat warnings blanketing northwestern Ontario. Those are all of those red portions, including the city of Thunder Bay. We also have a thunderstorm watch for Big Trout Lake, where winds could be gusting 100 to 120 kilometers an hour with golf ball sized hail in that region. Areas in the red, though, for the heat could see the humidex reach 35, not just tomorrow, but into the weekend. And much like the last few days of this week, with all that heat building up, it hits that cooler air aloft. You have the potential for a sudden shower, even possible thunderstorm. And that's going to be the trend for the weekend. But it comes with all of that heat, and we're probably not going to get the cooler nights that we have had last night and again tonight. The evenings are going to be a little muggy as well, so people really do have to take precautions as we head into the weekend.
Yeah, hopefully everybody takes care. That heat is no joke when it does get up into the mid-30s.
Stay hydrated.
Humidex, absolutely. Thanks a lot, Fiona. All right, well, there has been increasing pressure from Canada's NATO allies in recent months. The fact that Canada has had no path to meet the NATO defense spending target of 2%. Well, that has changed, the Prime Minister announced today. It's still going to take a while, about 8 years, and the details are still scarce. We'll have more on that and more when your Thursday News Hour continues after the break.
Canada fully expects to reach NATO's 2% of GDP spending target by 2032.